Well, mister.
Submarines emerged during the First Wars, but one of the most intense stories was the submarine-on-submarine battle. This encounter occurred between the British submarine HMS Venturer and the German U-864 during the Second World War. This event was shocking because it was the only instance of one submarine sinking another while they were both underwater. On February 9th, 1945, the HMS Venturer was under the command of Lieutenant James S. Launders, patrolling the coast of Norway. The British got news of the German submarine U-864 was on a secret mission to deliver military technology to Japan to fight against the Allies. The goal of the British Navy? Intercept the U-864 before it reaches its destination. The British submarine found itself before Germans' U-864, but there was a problem. Both submarines were submerged, and targeting underwater wasn't as easy as above water. Typically, submarine warfare involved one sub attacking the other, with one surfaced and the other submerged. So the British captain Launders had to calculate the movement of his opponent who was underwater, and weave to evade detection. It took over an hour for the HMS Venturer to track the U-864 using auditory clues and educated guesses. Launders only had 4 torpedoes and had to calculate the firing solution in 3 dimensions. Knowing he couldn't afford to miss, he fired his torpedoes at staggered intervals, predicting where the U-864 would be a few minutes into the future. Incredibly, one of the torpedoes struck the German sub, causing it to break apart and sink with all the crew members aboard. This encounter is unique in naval warfare because this is the first and only time a submarine successfully sunk another while both were submerged. Launders is praised as an extraordinary captain as underwater targeting is complex and there were no modern sonar and targeting systems. The sinking of the German U-864 remains one of the most impressive feats in the history of submarine warfare. If you think this story was exciting, let us know what topics you want us to cover next in the comments. Ever since the emergence of submarines, warfare has changed forever. One of the deadliest weapons in a country's arsenal is submarines. In the past, they played a significant role during World War II and the Cold War. These naval vessels can essentially operate underwater and on water's surface, making them so popular from the first time they were made. From the colossal Typhoon to the whisper quiet attack submarines like the Russian Beret class and the American Virginia class. Join us as we explore the ruler of the 7 seas. Submarines didn't just dive into naval warfare overnight. The idea of an underwater vessel first surfaced in the 17th century when Cornelius Drebbel, a Dutch inventor, created a leather-covered oar-propelled submersible for King James I of England. The king probably thought this was an impressive stealth boat, but it was not very stealthy or much of a boat. Still, that was 1620. Technology had to start somewhere, even if it didn't make a splash. Fast forward to the American Revolutionary War. David Bushnell made the Turtle, a one-person wooden submarine that attempted to sink British ships with explosives. But this was unsuccessful. By the American Civil War, there had been significant developments in submarine warfare. This was with the H.L. Hunley, the Confederate submarine, which became the first to successfully sink an enemy vessel, the USS Housatonic. But this was not as successful as it seemed. Soon after the submarine attacked, it sank, killing its crew. This showed the world the power of submarines, but also displayed the technological risks and dangers. When World War I broke out, submarines had finally emerged, particularly for Germany. The German U-boats, short for Unterseebooten, because undersea boat sounds cooler in German, torpedoed Allied merchant ships like they were going out of style. This put the sub in substantial threat to Britain, which relied on those ships for supplies. Germany had a lot of impressive submarines during this war, but had unrestricted warfare that caused a lot of pain to others. They sank the civilian vessel Lusitania in 1915, which caused the United States to interfere in the war. Submarines became even more prominent during the Second World War, especially in the Atlantic and Pacific theaters. German U-boats launched a lot of devastating attacks on Allied convoys in the Atlantic, completely severing the supply chain to Britain. Many technological advancements occurred during this time, like improved torpedoes, periscopes, and sonar, making submarines stronger and more challenging to detect. During this war, American submarines inflicted heavy losses on Japanese merchant and naval vessels, which led to Japan's defeat. During this war, the British HMS Venturer sank the German U-864 as the only submarine in submarine combat. After the Second World War, the nuclear-era advanced submarine design. During this time, as the United States and Soviet Union competed, they also engaged in submarine warfare. In 1954, the US Nautilus became the first nuclear-powered submarine and could stay submerged for prolonged periods, operating stealthily across oceanic distances. The best part of nuclear submarines was that they could carry ballistic missiles, making them more powerful. The Cold War contributed to the development of fast attack and ballistic missile submarines that could launch nuclear strikes from hidden locations. Today, submarines are like the secret agents of the sea, stealthy, high-tech, and vital. Whether powered by nuclear or diesel-electric engines, submarines are out daily, proving that sometimes the greatest threat to your fleet might be the one you never see.
Eli, be careful what you shoot at. Most things in here don't react too well to bullets.
If you had told people centuries ago that there would be a marine vessel that could sink and float, they would have called that sorcery and prepared a stake. But today, nearly every navy has submarines, and while it might seem like magic, it's just science. Submarines work with ballast tanks, which control their buoyancy and allow them to sink and submerge at will. Water is pumped into the ballast tanks for a submarine to submerge underwater, making it denser than the surrounding water and heavy enough to sink. But when it's time to surface, air is pumped into the ballast tanks, making the submarine less dense and causing it to float. Now, how do these submarines get their power? Submarines can be powered by nuclear reactors or a combo of diesel engines and electric motors. Regarding nuclear reactors, the submarine uses a nuclear fission reaction to generate heat, which is used to power it. For fuel, the reactor will use enriched uranium or plutonium fuel rods. Then the reactor core would create a controlled nuclear fission reaction, where the nucleus of an atom splits into two smaller nuclei, releasing heat. The heat from the fission reaction is used to heat the coolant, like water or liquid metal, and this coolant generates high-pressure steam. On the other hand, the conventional submarine uses a combination of diesel engines and electric motors for propulsion. On the surface, diesel engines power submarines, but the electric motor will power them once they go underwater. On the surface, the submarine batteries will be charging. Once fully charged, the sub will head underwater, and the battery will power the electric motors. When comparing nuclear and conventional submarines, most people think nuclear has the edge, and it's easy to see why. Nuclear subs can stay submerged much longer than their diesel-electric cousins. Think of them as marathon runners of the ocean, while diesel-electric subs are more like sprinters. Nuclear submarines have a practically unlimited power source with enough fuel to last up to 30 years. That's one heck of a road trip without stopping for gas. Plus, nuclear subs are fast, zipping along at over 30 knots. And since they don't have to pop up for fuel, their movements are much harder to predict, leaving enemies to play with a frustrating Where's Waldo game on a much bigger map. The power of submarines is not only because they can move underwater and on the surface. One of the advantages is that they're as stealthy as a ninja in a dark room, making it nearly impossible for enemies to detect them. They are challenging to detect with sound-reducing insulation, special machinery, and advanced propeller designs. Some submarines can even sneak around undetected in enemy waters thanks to coating materials and a large vertical array. Talk about the ultimate game of hide and seek. Now that submarines are highly advanced, the control room can view visual images with high-resolution color cameras. New models of submarines have a hydromatic shape, which helps them move through water silently and control their depth. They can also have more advanced ballast tanks for easy movement. Submarines will easily carry weapons and devices like torpedoes, crewless vehicles, missiles, and satellites. Nations are racing to add new tech. China, for example, has developed a laser propulsion system that uses laser pulses to vaporize seawater. This reduces water resistance, letting the sub cut through the sea like a hot knife through butter. Another new technology is active sonar, which bounces sound off a target and measures the rebound to detect it. More navies use this instead of passive sonar, which relies on the noisy opponent. Most submarines now use laser imaging to detect their enemies using light pulses to create a 3D surface image. It's like a submarine having X-ray vision. Russia, America, Britain, France, and China are among the countries with the most formidable submarines around. Think of them, the underwater VIPs, each packed with severe firepower and next-level stealth. The United States Ohio-class submarines can carry up to 24 Trident II D5 ballistic missiles, making them the Navy's largest subs and essentially a Trident vending machine. When it comes to payloads, these subs don't mess around. Meanwhile, Russia's Bore-class submarines are known for carrying up to 16 Bulava ballistic missiles, each capable of carrying multiple warheads. Another powerful submarine is the UK's Vanguard class, which holds 16 Trident II D5 ballistic missiles with advanced stealth technologies and robust communication systems. France also has some impressive submarines, like the Triumphant class, which can carry 16 M51 ballistic missiles, and is equipped with multiple nuclear warheads. Another leading country in naval warfare is China, known for its Type 094 Gen class submarine, which can carry 12 to 16 ballistic missiles and has powerful features like improved stealth, greater payload capacities, and longer missile ranges. These countries aren't just storing up high-tech firepower for show. Each of these submarines is a stealthy, high-stakes powerhouse with targeting and stealth capabilities that make them as elusive as dangerous. Good luck if you're an enemy vessel trying to track one. It's like looking for a needle in an ocean-sized haystack. What features do you think should be added to submarines in the future? Let's hear your thoughts in the comment section. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more captivating and fascinating content. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.